Hello again, and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair. And this will actually be a lens repair for this old In-Ai-s Nikkor 135mm 2.8, and it has a little problem with some aperture plates, because you see there's a hole. Yeah, there is actually a hole, and if we look through it, you can see there is full hole, but when I stop down to 32, there will still be a hole. Not good. I mean, yeah. But let's see what we can do about it, since we actually are here. We need some tools, we need some cotton buds, and we need a tweezer, actually two, and this is a special made, homemade of course. It's great to actually put in the plates in the Aperture system. I have bent it and filed it and grinded it, and so it fits absolutely perfect. And this is just an ordinary anti-magnetic stainless steel tweezer. And we need some screwdrivers. Actually, there is a little collection here. First we need a 1.2mm flathead screwdriver, which is used to one of the set screws. And then we also need some JIS screwdrivers. Those are from Moody Tools, and you can buy them in a set of 4 on ifixit.com, which I have done. And I will use the thinnest, the smallest one, which is 2mm, and a bit thicker, that it will be 3mm. You might think it's a bit too big. Yeah, but maybe not. But I prefer to actually use my P800 modified to actually I know it's not and will never ever be a JIS screwdriver, but if you file the tip just a little with a needle file, you can actually have a screwdriver that works pretty good, and you can then adjust it to fit perfect in the screw head. It's also very good. I prefer that, actually. Some dentist tool. This is also very handy. This is from a Danish brand called Zenit, which is a good brand. Old, I bought it from my dentist, so cheap. And we will also need a lens spanner. This is actually a kind of a compass, very old, adjustable. And I have also filed and grind the end two tips here. So it's very useful to work with lenses and cameras. Now the absolutely famous rubber tool, cones, sticky rubber, which is absolutely great to work with lenses, but some cameras too. They are good to take off the retaining ring and lenses and so on. A lens cloth will also be very handy, and to the aperture plates. And we will also need some fluidium as isopropyl alcohol in a small jar, which will be fine enough. Some nail polish remover will be very handy in this case, and especially with the cotton buds here. So let's jump into it and let's see what we can do about it. So we actually know what's wrong with the lens, so let's see how we go into it. So I will simply begin with the front. You see, there is a little hole in here in the what do you call it, the front here. I know what it calls, but it just pop out. And there is a hole, and we have to find a little other hole. It will be the set screw. Okay, here it was. In this lens it sits very close to the made in Japan, if you look down here. So it will be, I mean, it could sit somewhere else, but here it just sits. And we need actually a smaller cotton bud, which I have buy in a place called Muji.net. You probably can see it here. And it's very good because they are tiny. And they're very good to actually add some nail polish remover into a tiny hole here. Which I will do now, because there are some, they actually add some nail polish, I mean Threadlocker, of course. So just use a little and then add it into the hole here, so it will come in and suck into the thread and soften the thread lock. Just let it stay there for, well, some seconds, because it's a tiny screw, and then you can just gently unscrew it. And you have to fully unscrew it, because we need to take it out, but also so we do not need to work with the lens hood. Oh, there the word was. Okay, so I can actually not yet take it off, so I will just push it in again. But the tiny set screw here is actually holding the front retaining ring. It do not hold the lens assembly in place, because they're in here. There are actually 3 screws. But since we already have this the set screw loose, we can just simply unscrew loosen it. Just loosen it for the moment, and with the rubber cones here. So there's no need for taking it out yet, because when we loosen unscrew the 3 screws in here, it will simply fall out. So we have more in control of what we actually are doing. So the next thing is to take off the 5 screws around here, and for that, because I recognize they can sit extremely tight. Of course, I have been into the lens before just to investigate what's actually happened. So therefore I know we have to use some Threadlocker. I mean, not Threadlocker, but nail polish remover. Sorry for that. And in this lens I really use a lot, and let it suck into the screw head here, so it can soften the thread lock in here, and all 5 screws, because if they sit tight and you use a wrong screwdriver, it will say probably a Phillips screwdriver, a pure non-modified Phillips screwdriver, you could damage the screw head, and then you got another problem. So just let it suck in and everything is fine. So now it's actually sit there for a while. Just a few, maybe 5-10 seconds, it will be sometimes enough. And then here it comes. I use a bigger screwdriver because it fits better into the screw head here. If I use a small one, it will say the 2mm screwdriver. It's simply too small. So that's why it is a good thing to actually use a little bigger screwdriver. And then it comes off. In this lens, the screws are non-magnetic, so take care of that. We need a tweezer. So, and I could just show how my modified screwdriver, my Phillips, non-Phillips, is also very good because I like it's very short. I mean, this, the actual screw bit is very short compared to this one, is bigger. So I have a better control over what I'm doing. And it's just, well, it's just my work, the way I work. So and then the last screw. So off with that. Now since we have a non-working aperture pin here, nothing will really happen. So I can just take this out, but we need to take care of something. I mean, just so you know how you should put things back into again. There is a fork here that is directly connected to this one, as we can see here. There is no spring here that releases it. And it will go into the fork here, into the pin here. That should, if something was correct, should actually move the aperture assembly down here on the, I know it's difficult to see, but this brass pin is should actually be all the way over to this way. So if I push on it and the aperture is set to something 32, if I push on the pin, we should actually see that the aperture plate is closing. And if I turn the lens over, you'll see there is a lot of oil on the aperture plate, which will actually get them stuck to not working. So I can still now use the aperture ring to open the aperture, but it will not close because of the oil. So now we get into the three screws in here. You see, in here there's one screw there, there, and there. Okay, there's only 3 screws, and if you think, okay, there is 4 screws, there's also one down here. Hopefully you can see. There. I know it's difficult. This one down here. Maybe it's better with a tweezer to show. Okay, come on, out of focus. So this down, it's difficult to see. I know it. But there is a flathead screw, which is not a screw. It's an adjustment for the aperture so it sits correct. Do not screw it. If you think, okay, it's just a screw. No, it isn't. So we simply unscrew those 3 screws down there, and they are luckily magnetic, so it's easy to take out. And then the next one beside the screw down here, and the last one there. So what actually happened right now, the whole lens assembly with the aperture plates will simply fold down. But since we already have the front retaining ring on, it will not just fall out, which is a good thing, so you have better control. And then it can just pop into your hand. You see, to get things correct, there's a pin here which actually move the aperture. I will say if I close it here, I move the blades that is connected to the aperture ring, and it's on the other hand connected to this fork here. So you move the aperture ring. So keep it, just put it away, and then we have access to the full lens assembly with the aperture. So this pin here, which is actually the connection from the mount here, it will look like this. So if I can show it correct here, let's see how we can do it. Just move this and this. So now if I turn, if I put this on here, the mount, I can push on the pin here which connects to the camera, and if the mount was actually sit on the back of the lens, it should be actually possible to move the blades. But since the aperture system in there is full of oil, we cannot do it. So what we need to do is actually take off the front lens group, the whole lens group, which sits oh wow, and it comes off. So full block, and just put it aside, and we will do the exact same thing with the back lens group, because then we have no glass element to get dirty. So, and you see there is some lens element in here. Now then we see into the actual lens, the actual aperture assembly, which you can see there's really a lot of oil, and the spring in here is simply not strong enough to pull it back and to fully close the aperture. Well, it try, but cannot. There is some kind of reaction, but not good. So what we actually gonna do, we take out this ring in here, and for that we need this lens tool. You can buy them on the internet in many different types and size and so on, and simply put it down here. It can sit tight and it come loose. Then unscrew it, and pull it out. This is nothing special, just have to sit there. Is a kind of a light trap, I guess. So it sits like something here. So, and now before we actually disassemble anything, it's important, because we want the aperture ring here inside here to sit correct right before we disassemble. So what I'm gonna do, since I do not have a repair manual for this lens or many other lenses, it's difficult to find. So therefore what I do, and I think maybe someone think you actually damaged the lens. No, this is actually important, because how will you determine to set it correct if you do not have any mark somewhere? So I simply set a mark in here. You see, in this gap here, there are 3 of them. I only need one mark here, and I set on the outer tube, I mean the outside of the tube, and on the actual, I will show it when I take it out. So I know the adjustment of this is correct. So I can simply just take out this ring here. And yeah, I haven't been in here earlier. That's what I think, okay, have to mention those things. So just take out the 3 screws and put them in a group where you can find them. There, and the last one. You see, when I take out those, I mean those 3 screws and the ring here, you should not just turn it over, because then everything will fall out. Do it in a controlled way, so you know what you're doing. So, out with the 3 screws, and then with a dentist tool, which is very handy, we can lift up this ring here. And remember, this ring here, I mean this spring, and this little pin here, don't know what it called, has to sit correct when we assemble it again. So it has to sit on the right side of the little pin here. So there, this pin has to sit all the way over here, and that's why we need the adjustment mark. So we simply take this ring out. It sits a bit tight. I mean, it can sit. And did I mention this the spring? Not really, because we couldn't see it. But it sits here on the, I mean, when looking from the top, it sits on the underside of this ring and is actually connected to this pin here. So, and there is another thing, but since I haven't been into the lens, I didn't expect this to come. So, and let's see what's going. Okay, yeah. This little pin here is connected to the outside and actually connected to this tube here, which we can move. So, just so we know it. Those 2 screws has to be unscrewed. And since I just, for remember, set a mark here on the side, let's make a scratch here, so we know where things should sit. Remember, there's nobody to ask about this, so you have to do it correct. So, unscrew those 2 screws. So tiny screws. And there. And then this connection pin, which I think we just should take out. I mean, it should be possible. Okay, yeah, very smart. And then we can take out the, I mean, it should be possible to take out this ring here, that is the last cover plate for the aperture plates and ring. So, and then it's out. There's not really much oil. I mean, it doesn't seem there's any oil in here. Normally they sit on the side here, inside the aperture system, but it doesn't seem there's any. So now we actually look into the plate that moved the aperture plates, but we can just see how it is there, just so we know when the aperture is fully open. This pin has to sit all the way over there. Okay, and now it's time to take out the plate here that holds the aperture plates in place. It's maybe a little sticky with oil. Yeah, here we can see there's a lot of oil here around. And now the time has come to a little drink with isopropyl alcohol. I know this jar is a bit too small, but we'll make it anyway. So now I will simply just take out the plate. Remember how they are facing. I mean, they cannot sit wrong, as you see. So one, take out the aperture plates, and the dentist tool is quite good for that. I mean, to just lift them off and just let them fall down into a pass. They are made of metal, so don't bend them. You have to take care of them. If you you say, okay, things are really going wrong here. Not really. We managed to do it anyway. Okay, little fellow. So, have a shower. Out with that. And just pop them in. There are some oil here inside which there has to be absolutely dry. No oil at all in here. So therefore I will use a cotton bud to actually clean out in here, and use a cloth to dry out the whatever could be on some oil. There's no need for putting this assembly down into isopropyl alcohol. That's a bit overkill in my opinion. And you might think, okay, where did this oil come from? Yeah, the only place it can come from is the aperture system. I mean, the focusing system, sorry. So we will just use a lens, not a lens cloth, but some cloth, which is fine for that. And we can just give it a good cleaning down here, and we just dry after, so it's free of oil. And it looks much better already. So that's actually fine. That was part of it, which is quite easy. And we will just do the same with the plate that moved the plates, since it's not space enough in here to put this plate in. Okay, come on here. So now it looks pretty good, just like new. And we can actually also do the same thing with this ring here, which also needs some, because it moved the plate. I mean, there has to be no oil at all in the aperture system. And this ring can also have a go. So that was actually all in this case. So the only thing we need to do is to actually take out the plates from the bath and simply clean them. I mean, dry them. And so here we are. It's actually looking fine. And away with the isopropyl alcohol. So now we only need to put them in again. And for that I'll try to use this one. It can be if the plates are a little magnetic. No, it's okay. This I'll just use my special tweezer, put them in. So it sits like that, the first one. And you see, it's the pin here. This pin, not the, if we look from above, it is this pin here that goes into the hole in here, not the other one. And we just go around counterclockwise. It will be the easiest to do. Okay, let's see what's okay. It didn't go in. No, try again. There it is. And then we'll push in the first plate, and you should probably have a finger underneath, as I see it, and then push in the plate so it comes over this plate. So the first plate has to come over the last plate. Can be a little tricky to do, but let's see if it can be done. It will make it easier if I just push out this plate too, since the plates hold each other in place. I mean, normally we can just grab this one here and find the little tiny hole which is there. So now everything is correct in place. Just need to align all the plates so it actually the full hole here. So there. The next thing is to put in the plate itself, and It can only sit in one place because this notch here actually is where the brass pin here go through. So if we grab this pin here, maybe need another tweezer. It could be very handy. Okay, yeah. Hold on a second, I need another tweezer. A dented tweezer like this one is a little bigger. It's very good to have a good grip on this. And then we can finally put this on and align the small pins. Everything should be fine. So, and there it sits. And we maybe have to wiggle a little back and forth to align the blades correct into place. There's something wrong here. So, and there it sits. See that all the tiny brass pins sits in the small notch around here. If not, they will just you could probably break it. So now if I move the ring here, I should open and close the aperture system, which actually looks much better. So now I can take the ring here and it goes here. This place here has to go through the long notch over here on the side. So I will just pop that in. Where did it go? Here. So put it down here. So, and now we are in more safe position now, because then I can turn the assembly here over by holding on the ring here and see, okay, the notch here where this little pin has to go to, I can put in this here and find the correct position of this ring here. So there. And then actually align where the two holes in here in this ring has to sit. Of course I should have loaded my screwdriver with a screw first, but we'll just do it now. And then screw this into so. And now it's actually fine. Wow, works really good. So what I can do is actually put in this ring here. And it could be a problem to actually get the spring into place, so let's see what's happened. Maybe it's not so hard anyway. This pin has to sit there, and if you release it, it will just go around, so it has to be all the way around here. So the spring here, this tiny spring here, has to go against this pin here. And underneath there's the other end of the spring. It has to go against here. So it's actually has some movement. So that's it. So let's put that in here. And remember, we have a mark which we set in the beginning. It says over here. And I just have to find the correct place where I actually set the mark here on this ring. Okay, it's here actually. There is a scratch. Very good. That's very useful to have that. So if I put this here, hold it, and actually put in the ring, so the mark is here and the other mark is here. So it should be quite easy to put in this. So now this part will not move around. And then there is a gap here, which it should be possible with a tweezer to put the spring on the pin. And I can see it can be a little tricky. It's great fun. Yeah, I know. Absolutely great fun. Oh, come on. Okay, Houston, we have another problem. Actually, okay, have another go. So you see, sometimes it's not easy. Well, it's not hard. Just unscrew it. Sometimes it looks easy, but isn't. So, let's see. There it is. And just put in the... One can actually also hold a finger on here and press it down and then move in the blade. Oh, didn't go so well. Don't press too much on the blades. They are again back on track, hopefully. Yeah. Looks like everything is correct again. I will just put in this ring. I know what I do. I simply use one of the cones here to put the assembly down in and have it here in a more controlled way, and then put in the ring. Where did that tweezer go? Too many tweezers. So this ring goes in here. So there. and it looks like almost all of them are fine. There's just one up here. So, and here we are. Now back on track. Put this ring in. Just need to find the correct place to put it in. And load my screwdriver with one screw. And find the correct position for the pin on the back. So there it is. Just have to move this. The next, this bloody plate needs to come in. Have this so, and the spring here. And I just found look in my toolbox, and I think this dentist tool, like this one here, which is very thin, could be used to put in the, help to put in the spring. So let's see. Sometimes you have to do it twice. And since we also have a mark, I just have to find it. There. Sits. The mark is here. And the mark is there. So it should be I said it wrong, but now we are here. See, there is some action where the plates can be moved without any problem. So I think it will turn out to be very good. But see, sometimes it can be a little tricky to put in the rest of the parts. Sorry. So this one has to sit there. So it looks like this. And then I can add my screw on the side. Which will be, where's my screwdriver? Not this one. So now we are safe home. And actually, you can see now the plates is actually active. So that's great. And then I will also have more control to actually put in this bloody spring, which I will try now. It didn't turn out good at first, but I think if I do like this, have the dentist tool here, and then put it over this pin. So, and now it's actually working. So let's see what's going. Gosh, should be the other way around. So actually the aperture is working. Wow, that's great. And can we move it? We can open and close. Everything is fine. Okay, I just forgot to mention that the mark I actually set here, which was this mark here, it should be, of course, in line with the the outer marks here should be in line with the inner mark here. And I think when I assembled the lens, it was not the correct, it was too small, the aperture. So of course we need to adjust it a little by loosen the screws here, and all three. No need to unscrew it fully. So, and so has to be, little loose. So, and then it should be possible to actually move the mark so it sits in line with the other marks. Because if not, you see, the aperture is a little bit bigger hole than it was when I actually assembled it. So this is how we actually can adjust the aperture adjustment. Let's see. So there, well, it came off in here. Just need to put this correct. So hold on a second, we need a tool. So there, I need to take apart this ring. So we can see what's actually happening here. Doesn't seem to have any effect on this. So we need to move this. So So it has to come all the way over here, and then have my mark. So, and there it is, correct. And then you actually need to push this all the way over here. And so now it's correct. It was simply because this ring was actually moved too much over, and then the wrong aperture value was not correct, and I see just not fully correct yet. Just need the final adjustment here, just a tiny amount of movement. So now it's fine. And in line with the mark I set before, and this is why it is so important, because if you set it wrong and just take it apart, this ring, without set any mark, you have no idea where the correct aperture value is actually. So now it's fully closed as it should, and there is just a hair coming in here. So everything is fine now, and I can just put in the last part and continue with the video. So it is, and we'll just continue with the video. So how about that? That's great. Well, you might think, well, you should add some kind of thread lock here. Yeah, I could actually take some, which will be, just use the Loctite 243, not on the screw head, it's more on the side of the screw, which I will just add a tiny amount if it will come out. Oh, way too much. Okay, yeah, well, we'll use it anyway. So one can actually just add it here, and then move the screw a little and then screw it in. So I think it will work. Then do the next one. And it's just a tiny amount that we need. It should not come on the blades. So, and the last one. Just loosen it a little. And since we have enough of this, just do it so. That's actually that. And yeah, the last thing is to put in the two lens, I mean the front lens, back lens, just to see if there's any dust or dirt in here. Doesn't seem to be any. Then the lens element looks fine. Put it in. Okay, there. And then the back lens group. Aha, you see, I missed something. How much could we? Because there was this ring here that also need to come in. Just almost forgot it, but it will also come in here. So here we are. You see, they can be a little tricky. And then, or we could just use the lens tool here and then tighten it. So it's fine. So here, now we are back in the correct place. Take care of the thread. It's aluminium, so if you don't get the correct thread, don't try to just screw it in. You could damage the thread. And everything is correct. Wow, that's good. Now we have a good lens for absolutely stunning photos. The back lens looks pretty good. And now you can just screw it in. So then put it in the lens assembly. No, I mean the focus assembly. There's a guide screw here. This screw here has to go into this notch here. So when we put it in, and also align the aperture connection from the aperture ring. So set the aperture ring to 20 to 32, and this one will also be set all the way over to fully closed aperture. And the pin is here, so we can put it in like this way. See, this fork here has to catch the, okay, there, has to catch this, so, and then just put it in all the way, align it proper, and when it's correct in place, this adjustment screw, not screw, but this, oh, I need some thread lock. Just a tiny amount. There's no need for using too much. No, I see. This adjustment is actually an ellipse shaped. So now put in a screw. Hopefully it will catch there. One have to wiggle a little. This assembly, so there it is. And then tighten the screw. But we see there shouldn't be too much. Oh, there shouldn't be too much thread lock on the screw, because it's only the head that we actually need to add thread lock on. So we just put it in again. There it clicks into place. So I simply just add a little on the screw head, put it in, and then we are almost there. And the last one. Which will be in here. So, and now just need to clean away a little stuff here. And yeah, so the only thing I miss is actually the front retaining ring, where the little set screw has to sit. So we simply just put in this, click, and then screw it in. And then we use all the cones here by pressing them a little, so it'll be a more rigid tool, and simply screw it in. So, and then add the little set screw. So we just have to find the little hole for the where the set screw has to sit. Oh, there it is. Align it, and then put in the tiny screw. I know there was thread lock before, but I will not add it again, because if I have to go into the lens again, it could be a problem. And I mean, it will not fall out. So now that part of it is fine. The only thing we need to do is actually do the back, I mean the mount here. We can just dry a little away of all that bloody oil. So, and then get rid of those tiny hairs. So, and then this fork here has to go into the pin here. So catch it, and then find the holes here in the back. So there, sits there. And where did my screwdriver went? I will just use the rest of the thread lock here. So, wow, that's great. As you can see, no oil on the aperture plate, which is really good. So that was actually all from me. So hope you enjoy the content and can fix your own lens. So everything seems to work pretty good. So that's all for me. Bye bye.